All right. Hey, everybody. This is Mr. Boughton, and today I'm going to talk to you about the order of operations. Um, so far, what I've seen in class, I think everybody has a pretty good grasp on the different operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. However, as we move on in our math careers, we start getting more and more operations within the same expression or equation. And in order to make sure that we're all doing the things the same way, we need to have a set of rules that tells us the order, okay, in which we do things. Which things do we do first? Which do we do second? And so on and so forth. And I think everybody, probably at one time or another, has seen the acronym PEMDAS. I call it PEMDAS. Sometimes people call it PEMDAS. Or you might have learned it as Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally. However you learned it, it's pretty much the same. Okay? And what this is, it's an acronym that puts the order that we do all the different operations in a math expression or equation. We start at the top and we work our way down to the bottom, one step at a time. And the P stands for parentheses. The E stands for exponents. M for multiply. D for divide. A for add. And S for subtract. Okay. Some symbols that you might see. Parentheses are anything that are inside or grouping brackets or like this. This is a set of parentheses, and that's typically what you're going to see in this class. We mostly use parentheses. Exponents might be something 2 squared or even some variable x to the third power. That's kind of a weird looking 3. Multiplication, you'll see it as that. Sometimes the dot product. More often than not, I use parentheses to indicate multiplication. For instance, 2 times 3. Those are all examples of multiplication. Division, you might see the division sign. More often than not, I show my division as a fraction. Addition, pretty much that's the only operation you're going to, or the only symbol you're going to see for that operation. And then subtraction. Now, kind of take that all in for a second. Stop the video at any time, by the way, if you need to stop this so that you can get this down in your notes. Okay. Now, here's the deal. Taking a look at parentheses, when I first look at a problem, I want to do everything that's inside the parentheses. Once I have everything done and I get it down to one simple answer or one simple term, then I'm going to look for numbers that have exponents. The 2 and the 3 are my exponents in this case. Once I've got all that taken care of, multiply, divide, add, subtract. Now, a little thing about multiplying and dividing and adding and subtracting. Once we get down to these two, basically the top of the list, these things have more power. So I want to do the more powerful ones first. Multiplication and division kind of have the same amount of power. So one extra little rule is when I multiply and divide, I multiply and divide left to right. Then the same thing goes for addition and subtraction. I'm just going to do addition and subtraction together, but I'm just going to go left to right. Okay? So if you need a second to get that into your notes, go ahead and stop the video. I'm going to continue on with our first example problem. Okay, so for a simple problem, I've left the PEMDAS over here just for reference as I'm doing the problem. And let me pick a problem here. Okay, Now when I look at a problem, this is our expression right here. Remember, an expression does not have an equal sign. I'm looking for I want to identify the operations. I see that I have addition. I also have addition inside the parentheses. And I also have an exponent. So now I have to determine what I'm going to take care of first. And since I have parentheses right here, I'm going to perform whatever of these operations is inside the parentheses. So I see that inside the parentheses it's 2 plus 5. I'm going to write everything else down. Everything that's not inside the parentheses. I have 3 plus, and I usually leave it inside the parentheses. I know that 2 plus 5, whoops, is 7. And one thing I don't want to forget is to bring down the exponent. So I did what was inside the parentheses first. I rewrote everything else, the 3 and the exponent. Do these things one step at a time early on. Even if you're really comfortable right now, or if you think you're comfortable with the order of operations, I highly suggest you just do one thing at a time. Okay. Now some people might ask, well, you did what was inside the parentheses, why do you leave that there? You don't necessarily have to. I just do it as a matter of, it helps me to remember that I've already performed something in the parentheses. It's just a habit that I've gotten into. Also, sometimes there's multiplication out here. I might have a 2 out front. In this case, if there's nothing written, we always remember there's a 1. Okay, so I want to remember that there's a potential for multiplication out there. Anyhow, so once I've done my first operation, the parentheses, I want to look back. I'll go back and I start at the top. Are there any other parentheses? Now this parenthesis doesn't count because there's only one term inside of there. I've taken care of everything. I just have it there just so that I remember that I did it. Okay, so there's no more parentheses. Let's look at exponents. Here is the exponent. And remember, this exponent only goes to the number that it's next to. So 7 to the second power, I know is 7 times 7, which gives me 49. And then I bring down the 3 and the operation, which is addition. So I take a look. Okay, no more parentheses, no more exponents, nothing here. There is no more multiplication, no division. I have addition. Boom. 3 plus 49, 52. Once I've got it down to the simplest form, then I'm done. Okay, this is not your practice problem. I wanted to add one that had a set of parentheses that were nested within another set of parentheses, just to kind of give you an idea that I always want to run back through the whole process each step that I go. So when I'm looking at this, again, identify what the operations are, addition. Here I have some multiplication. A number out in front of parentheses means I multiply. 2 sets of parentheses, subtraction, addition, and exponents. So before I get too excited, let's just kind of back up a step, go right up here to the top, look at the parentheses. So at first, I notice this big set of parentheses, or oftentimes you'll see brackets. Okay, some books, if I already have a set of parentheses inside, I'll use brackets instead. I typically just stick with a larger set of parentheses. So I want to look and see what's inside there first. Once I look inside the parentheses, then I start all over. Is there another set of parentheses? And in this case, there is. So within this set of parentheses, I have to do this set first. Again, doing everything one step at a time, bring everything else down. Okay. I'm going to look at here. 6 minus 4 is 2. And I could leave it in parentheses. In this case, I didn't. It doesn't really matter. All right. So I've simplified what was inside this nested parentheses. Then I start all over. I've done one step. Let's start all over. Look for another set of parentheses. I still have this set of parentheses to deal with. So the next step is to do what's inside. Bring everything else down. 2 plus 2 is 4. And I bring my exponent down. Alright, now here is where you can see why a lot of times I leave my number in parentheses, because I still have this multiplication here and I still have this exponent, so that kind of helps keep that number separate. And to me it's easier than writing the dot product or the x for multiplication. I don't get it confused with the variable. So I can't do anything inside parentheses, so my next step is to do the exponent. Remember, the exponent only goes to the number that it's next to. So when I bring everything else down, 3 plus 2 and 4 times 4, that's what 4 to the second power means, is 16. Again, I left it in parentheses only to show or remind me that this was multiplication. I don't like using those other symbols. To me, using parentheses is much simpler. Alright, so now I'm here. No more operations inside parentheses. No more exponents. Multiplication. Right there, 2 times 16. So, bring down the 3 plus 2 times 16 is 32. And no more parentheses, no more exponents, no multiply, no divide. Addition. Boom. 3 plus 32, 35. There's my simplest answer. Alright, now it's time for you guys to try one. I'm going to put the problem up there, and then I want you to stop the video, and I'd like you to scratch this out on a separate sheet of paper. Try this on your own, and then follow my work. Start the video and then follow my work and see how we matched up. Okay, so here's the problem I want you to try. I have the quantity 3 minus 2, that's how I read that, by the way. The quantity of 3 minus 2 squared plus 7 times 4. Okay, stop the video. Try this out on paper. Start at the top, work your way to the bottom. Each step, you start at the top of PEMDAS and work your way through until you run into one of the operations that you have, and then you take care of it. Alright? Okay, so you should have performed the entire problem now and come up with a solution of your own. If you haven't done so, stop the video, wait till you finish the problem, and then start it up again. Alright, so here we go. Looking at the order of operations, inside parentheses right here I have the quantity 3 minus 2. Let's take care of that first. 3 minus 2 is 1. I leave that in parentheses. And I bring everything else down. Now arguably I could take care of a couple of these things at once, but that'll come with more practice. For now, just do one step at a time. So, parentheses, I have two things in parentheses actually, but this one is a single number. I can't simplify that anymore. I can't simplify that anymore either. So I'm basically done. The parentheses are just holding a place for me or telling me an operation. So now I've got to look at exponents. In this case, it's 1 to the second power, which is 1 times 1. I can clean that up. 1 times 1 is 1. Okay. Now I've done the next step. I took care of the exponent, which is 1. No more parentheses that I can simplify anymore. No more exponents. Multiplication right here. Remember, a number out in front of parentheses means to multiply. So 7 times 4 is 28. Bring everything else down. And I really only have one operation left. That's addition. So 1 plus 28 is 29. Okay. Hope you did okay with that. And we'll see you tomorrow with our practice in the classroom.